Why is China able to make such insane infrastructure and amazing futuristic cities, while most of India is still crumbling roads and old buildings? Let's break this down completely. China's infrastructure boom didn't happen by accident. It's the result of decades of planning, government efficiency, and sheer political will. Under Xi Jinping, China has taken infrastructure development to another level. Since taking power in 2012, Xi has aggressively pushed for modernization, launching trillions of dollars worth of projects, from high-speed rail and expressways to megacities and smart urban planning. The results speak for themselves. China now has the world's largest high-speed rail network, the longest expressway system, record-breaking bridges, and some of the biggest airports on the planet. Meanwhile, India, under Narendra Modi, has tried to push for large-scale infrastructure development, but the country is miles behind. Red tape, corruption, inefficiency, and political infighting have made even basic projects a nightmare to complete. At this point, China is literally building the future, while India is still trying to finish projects that were planned decades ago. Please take a second to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more content. Let's start with high-speed rail, which is one of the biggest indicators of a country's infrastructure capability. China has built over 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail, more than the rest of the world combined. Take the Beijing-Shanghai high-speed railway, a 1,318-kilometer rail line built in just 3 years. This train runs at 350 kilometers per hour, making travel between two of China's biggest cities faster than flying. Xi Jinping made it a national priority to expand high-speed rail to every major city, and now, over 85% of Chinese cities with a population of 500,000 or more are connected by bullet trains. Compare that to India, where there isn't a single operational bullet train. Modi's government announced the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail in 2017 with funding and technology from Japan. But as of 2025, it's still stuck in land acquisition issues, environmental challenges, and endless bureaucracy. The project was originally set to open in 2023, but the new estimate is 2030, if not later. While India struggles with one bullet train, China has already started testing maglev trains that can reach 600 kilometers per hour. China doesn't just dominate in rail, it also has the best expressways in the world. The country has built over 160,000 kilometers of expressways, 6-lane, perfectly paved, and maintained with military precision. India, in contrast, has only 25,000 kilometers of expressways, many of which are still under construction. Modi's Bharatmala project, which aims to add 34,800 kilometers of highways, is years behind schedule. A great example of India's inefficiency is the Delhi-Mumbai Expressway, which was supposed to drastically reduce travel time between India's two biggest cities. Approved in 2018, this 1,386-kilometer highway has missed multiple deadlines and is still only partially operational. Meanwhile, China has built entire national highway networks in less time. Just look at the G7 Beijing-Xinjiang Expressway, which stretches over 2,500 kilometers and was completed in just 4 years. China also builds record-breaking bridges with ease. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge is a 55-kilometer-long sea bridge that includes an underwater tunnel, built in just 9 years and operational since 2018. Meanwhile, in India, even small-scale projects take forever. Take the Bandra-Worli Sea Link in Mumbai, just 5.6 kilometers long, but it took 10 years to build due to delays, cost overruns, and political fights. Then there's the Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link, a sea bridge that was proposed in the 1980s, approved in 2004, and only started construction in 2018. It's now expected to open in 2025, nearly 40 years after the idea was first suggested. Can you imagine China waiting 40 years to build a bridge? Let's talk airports. Xi Jinping's government built Beijing Daxing International Airport, one of the largest and most advanced airports in the world, in just 4 years. It opened in 2019 and can handle 100 million passengers a year. Compare that to India, where airport expansion is painfully slow. The Noida International Airport, meant to ease congestion in Delhi, was first proposed 20 years ago, but it's still not operational. Even Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji International Airport, one of India's busiest, has struggled with overcrowding and years-long delays in expansion. Urban development is another area where China and India couldn't be more different. Look at Shenzhen. In the 1980s, it was a fishing village. Today, it's a global tech hub with skyscrapers, smart roads, and AI-driven infrastructure. That transformation took just 30 years. In contrast, Modi launched the Smart Cities mission in 2015, promising to modernize 100 cities across India. Nearly a decade later, most of these projects are either unfinished, poorly planned, or outright abandoned. Take Bengaluru, India's so-called Silicon Valley. Instead of becoming a futuristic tech city, it's falling apart. Horrible traffic, roads that flood every monsoon, and power outages that disrupt businesses. In 2022, Bengaluru's airport literally flooded because of poor drainage planning. The root of India's infrastructure problems is corruption and bureaucracy. China's state-owned construction firms, like China Railway Construction Corporation and China State Construction Engineering, operate with military-like discipline. Projects are executed on schedule, with minimal delays. India, however, has a broken system where 30% of infrastructure funds are lost to corruption, according to the Central Vigilance Commission. Every project gets stuck in political infighting, land acquisition disputes, court cases, and protests. The Commonwealth Games scam, highway construction fraud, and Delhi metro corruption cases are just a few examples of how deep the problem runs. Labor organization is another factor. China has millions of highly skilled construction workers, trained in government-backed vocational schools. India, meanwhile, still relies on underpaid, untrained laborers, which results in poor construction quality, delays, and safety issues. It's why bridges collapse, roads crack after a few years, and metro projects take decades to finish. At the end of the day, the biggest difference is political willpower. Xi Jinping prioritizes infrastructure because he understands that economic dominance starts with connectivity. Modi, on the other hand, has to fight state governments, opposition parties, environmental activists, and the court system just to start a project. In China, when the Communist Party decides something, it happens. No delays, no debates. In India, projects spend years stuck in approvals, and by the time they start, costs have tripled. People like to say, India will catch up. But the reality is that China is already planning for the 22nd century, while India is still struggling to finish projects from the 20th. The gap isn't closing, and it's only getting wider.